Are you a director looking to get into virtual production? Then you should stick around, because I'm interviewing a director who worked with virtual production. All right, welcome back. I'm here with my good friend Joachim Svensson, who also is an awesome director.
Thank you very much.
And I invited you here because we actually did a short film in virtual production like several months ago. Maybe we should go in why it took so long time in the post. It's my fault for being. I probably overestimated my abilities in Houdini and whatever. But so we ended up cutting it a bit different. So I didn't have
we compromised.
Yeah. You compromised. I just said, please God, can we just recut it so we can get finished with the piece?
Yeah.
And I think that's actually the one that's playing in the background. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We probably should watch it, or maybe you could go watch it on another channel after or before this talk. So a brief introduction to you, Joachim. You actually studied screenwriting, right, in America?
Yeah, in California.
That's cool.
And did a little work in LA and moved into directing after about 2 years of writing, I think.
Yeah.
Got too pissed off at all the directors messing up my scripts, so I took it on myself and found it to be a lot more fun. And now I'm combining, so I'm writing and directing.
Yeah. And you do both fictive and commercials, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Commercials to pay the bills and to sharpen my craft and all the narrative stuff for fun and for passion.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
And your top dream is to what was that, a feature film or?
Yeah, well, I think nowadays it's changed from feature length to. I think the perfect thing would be a 6-episode series, like a mini-series.
And then I'm thinking like Black Mirror kind of style.
Oh yeah.
That's up your alley.
Yeah.
So let's get back into. We built this set, the green screen virtual production set, and we thought, okay, we need to do some actual real life testing. This was like maybe 5 months ago.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the first things we shot in here.
Yeah, it must have been.
So you're also up for the task of doing fun new stuff. So can you tell me a bit about how what's the story about and how did you think about when you wrote the script for?
Well, interesting is back then I didn't know the limitations or the possibilities. So it's kind of thinking about what can we change with the background, or how can we put two characters in an environment that we change rapidly in between? Is there some kind of story? Is there is there a scene somewhere where we can, where it can be a powerful thing to see the entire environment they're in change really quickly?
Yeah.
And then what we came up with was basically a dad and a son that takes a little walk in a forest during night. So why? Don't ask questions. And they find a rope just hanging in there, or just hanging out of nowhere. And it's kind of exploration of what you do if you find a rope in the middle of the forest.
Yeah.
And they pull it.
Which is not attached to a human body, right?
Right. Yeah. And that was basically what we. I don't know what.
Yeah, we needed a quick way to test out. We had limited resources because we didn't have any light. We had the old green screen light. Now we have awesome lights from BBNS, which are these pure nice LEDs. I'm pointing at them, but I know that you can't see them.
But you can see them here.
Yeah, you can see them overflowing our faces. So we really thought about what can we do on limited resources. So basically, we just used a flash lamp.
Yeah, a flashlight, a rope that was hanging from a stativ.
A C-stand.
C-stand, yeah. And then 2 actors, basically. Yeah. And we had limited lighting as far as trying to mimic some sort of moonlight, dialing up the stylistic approach and not trying to make it realistic. It's more like a stylistic decision.
And we're actually in the same forest as we used in the background. So and that's the problem, because this were the really vanilla version of this setup, and it was.
You notice it's burning over there, right?
Yeah. It's okay. It's okay. It's under control. Yeah, the vanilla version. So it was kind of tough doing it, but I guess the shoot was really easy. So basically, what we did were we had the tracking on, and we recorded the tracking data, and then we comped it in post.
Right.
So and that opened up a whole lot of camp for people like this, because now you can change the shoot for after the fact.
Yeah.
And both you and the photographer were kind of, oh man, we can change stuff.
Yeah.
So that's a problem working with director. You always gonna constantly have to change stuff. So especially if you're not doing final pixels like we do now. This is final pixels, but that could also be a good thing.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, that's in a regular or a prop or like a real life set. Then obviously you light a scene and you have everything done, and all the people are working on it, and the set decorators come in and everything. And if you have that sense, or you get that idea of shit, this should have been the other way, then you'll have to use your politics or your skills in conversation and try and change it. And in this case, I mean, it's kind of a blessing and a curse, because now you can change it anytime and how you like. Can you change the sun? You can move everything around, and it opens up a lot of possibilities. But it also makes it a little bit more. It's kind of double-edged sword kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where if you have the possibility, then you're going to use it, and you're going to change it.
And then you go, as a creative, you're going to go get mad, because you have all the possibilities, but you. Sometime you have to make a decision, and then you're always going to wonder if that was the correct decision. Yeah, because you had the 40 decisions that you could have made.
Right. I don't think that'll ever change. I think you will rethink everything you've ever done, always, for the rest of your life.
But actually,
projects, films, not the other stuff.
We're going to talk later on about how if you're going to do a new shoot, for example, next week,
right?
How you're going to approach it. But first, I want to talk about, because we've always been, especially when you and I have been working together, we've been looking at new solutions, modern technological solutions for solving problems. And you actually did a music video where you used, kind of the Mandalorian style of doing stuff,
right?
But without Unreal Engine. Yeah,
that was practical all the way, in the sense of going even further back to the old school James Bond movies and all the car chases. Just also to explain that the whole music video, pretty much to about 90%, takes place inside a car, and is moving through a lot of different environments, and there's a lot of action inside the car and everything. And then we had to kind of think up of a way to do it properly, to get all the reflections off the car, the windshield, and have the background obviously changing without having to put the car on a big car rig and everything. Because I think at that 2 weeks before we were supposed to shoot with a car rig, they became illegal to use.
What?
Without a certain.
I
don't know exactly the.
You have to have like a follow car and.
You have to close down the street and everything, and this was a kind of a low budget production, so we couldn't do that. But we put the car in a studio, and then we went out a couple of nights before and shot all the background plates with a 360 camera on top of the car.
You make it sound so simple.
Because this was 2 years ago, and I think it's simple, but back then I was probably almost dying.
I remember there were like 5 people fighting over to get that camera working.
Yeah.
And it
was
like
freezing cold. Yeah, it was during I think November in Sweden, which is very, very cold and moist, and everything is just dark. And we had, a camera that was a battery life of about 15, in total 15 minutes. So it had to be really quick. And
I think it was the Nokia also, or
I'm not sure. I don't.
Yeah, it's a big black thing.
Yeah, basically just a big 360 camera with small little lenses around.
Yeah.
But yeah, we ended up projecting those images on a back projection, and then we had the projector or the screen right next to the windshield. So we were shooting this way, and then we had it that way, and then we did all our shots, and that actually gave us all the natural reflections off the car and everything, and it looked great. I think it adds a little bit. In this case, the film is a little bit little bit old school, kind of 80s neon action movie kind of thing. So it added to the texture of the whole thing, and it felt cool.
It looks awesome.
Yeah, it feels great.
And I think that's a great use for an LED screen. You're shooting
Yes.
cars, and bringing a car in here, you're gonna get green spill all over. You're not gonna get reflection. So
yeah, and I think that's because that actually we didn't actually plan for it being that good.
Yeah.
So the reflections were like, we knew we had reflections to work with, but it ended up looking way nicer than we thought before.
Yeah.
So when we were shooting it was a lot of fun. But I mean, that obviously had been a whole lot easier if we did it in virtual production, for sure.
Yeah. So if you were supposed to, we can go from start. You're gonna write a script for virtual production.
Mhm.
You're gonna shoot it in virtual production, and let's say it doesn't matter if you post it or if we do final pixels. But what are your lessons that the viewers can take away, and what are you thinking about if you're gonna start the process again?
I think the biggest, or in real life thing, is that you walk into during like the location recce, or when you're out looking for locations for a scene, you walk into a place and you see obviously the limitations of the physical space, and you're thinking, my image can go here. Here's a shot. The actors come in here. Then you're kind of thinking, you're seeing the place, and you're thinking the regular way of, here's my place. Here's where I'm going to shoot. So here are my corners and everything. And what I learned, the biggest lesson, was that if you put that process before everything else, so you move the location scouting and the set design, everything almost in the beginning, as you're writing the script. And then as you're writing it, you can start building your virtual set exactly the way you want it, and then everything, and then it gets moldable. But instead of doing that when you're shooting, you're actually doing that in the beginning.
Yeah.
So you can just pick that set, you have it finished, you have it done, with all the lighting people can come in and do their things, and the set decorators, everybody, the production designer can do their things, and then when we're on set, we have the finished
shot list.
Basically the finished thing.
Yeah.
And then you're just shooting it.
Yeah.
Like it would be in real life.
Yeah.
But you moved that process up to the beginning. I think that was the biggest. And again, with the limitations thing, is that once it's boundless or once it's limitless, then it becomes way harder creatively to suddenly you can do everything.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
what's the good thing to do?
So I was going to unpack some stuff, because you talked about, as you write the script, you're already thinking about the blocking of the scene.
Yeah.
And so basically that could be you writing on the paper, drawing on the paper, and then handing it off to the guy who's going to do the 3D background.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's where also where your visual effects supervisor can become almost your photographer in some sense, of having the discussions.
Don't say it to the photographer.
But I mean, like the discussions with everybody, even in the visual effects team, to have it. If they can come in with, let's move this to there, and you have a little more of a better shot here, and then obviously together with the photographer trying to build the set to fit the shot, rather than the shot to fit the set.
Exactly.
So it's kind of flipping on some things.
Yeah, and that's a great. It's almost like building the set yourself, but you just build it in virtual reality or virtual production. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and also I mean, as with the animatic part of it, we're trying to block it out, because I mean, I'm kind of old school in some senses of writing by hand and then I rewrite on computer. But as far as I'm doing most of my shot list, I'm doing them really, really crappy sketches. Like pretty much only I can see what it really is. But having done or doing that digitally, or doing that in animatic instead, again, moving that discussions that those discussions that you would have later on, move them up in the process, have them now. Yeah. So you pick out your animatics, you build them very roughly, obviously, but then you just take that out. You can bring out the exact same information and do it in the set and on the actual shoot, which is really cool. Ja, det blir kanske fel där, men ja.
No, I think it's good. And I think one easy step for a director or anyone else who getting into this is just download Unreal Engine and start making movies on Unreal Engine. Because then you have a basic understanding of what's possible or what's not possible, what's hard to do, and you know the tools, and you can talk to the visual effects supervisor, you can talk to the virtual production team, you can talk to the photographer. I guess everybody should just download it and play with it. I guess. And
And also, I mean, if you have a background in video games, you have I felt because I've played video games my entire life, and I'm very easy to get absorbed into a story and especially a world. But in the sense
of Warcraft.
Yeah, professionally. But I mean, getting a sense of the coolest thing I think was for me when I realized how close it was to actual video game sort of world building, is that you build a place and you step inside that place.
Yeah.
Without normally you'd probably be seeing it from one space and you know that there's nothing here behind the camera.
Yeah.
And this is just where I'm looking. But in this case, you're building your world the way that you would like it to feel and the atmosphere of it all. And then you just step inside it.
Yeah.
And then you pick your shots.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty crazy,
it's cool.
pretty crazy step to start, And I think that was easier for me at least to start adapting it easily. Was to have that video game background, to seeing all right, here's a world, and I can run around it and do whatever I want inside it.
Yeah.
But it's built and it's there.
Yeah.
Instead of building the shots background, just the regular way.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
I think so. I think so, because that's the hallelujah moment. Every time we bring someone here, we try to explain to them what we do and blah blah blah. But you really have to come down and stand here and look at yourself and feel the camera and it. Like Sulan, the cameraman, if you look at him, he's in the forest right now. He's looking at all the different framings and whatnot, and I think that's a really great way to work, to really feel it. The next step is putting VR goggles on him.
Yeah. Oh. On us.
On us too, yeah.
That's actually a really, really cool thing, because that what happened when we were shooting with Johan, the photographer, for a couple of moments, we forgot it was VR. We forgot it was virtual production, because we were seeing on the monitor, on the camera, you get all the organic camera shake.
Yeah.
You get everything.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, you're just working like you would normally.
Yeah.
You don't even think about it, because you look up and you see all the green screen, but then you look back down and you're into, nothing's changed.
You're starting to get a feel. Okay, the tree is over there,
right,
and when you look at the green, you see the tree. And this is, of course, if you have a ladder screen, you can see it. You're in there, but it works really good here too, because your mind adapts to that way of thinking.
Yeah, it's super cool.
And I think the only confusing stuff is doing. Okay, you're an educated film buff. What is it called when you do? So I'm shooting you, and then I'm gonna do the reverse.
Cross coverage.
Oh, the cross coverage, the reverse.
Reverse, yeah.
So I think that's confusing, because when we shoot the reverse,
right,
and sometimes you have to flip the whole set, and you also have to flip the lights. That's something to think about.
You move the whole entire thing, yeah.
Because as you flip the scene, you also have to flip the lights.
Right. Yeah, and that's one thing I realized when I came out of school and I did my first sort of real jobs was. That part of it, that the AD, or in this case, or the assistant director, told me that we do all the close-ups there, we do all the shots this way, and then we break for lunch, and then when we come back, you do all the other stuff.
Yeah.
On the other, so there's a conversation between two people on a table, you do all of his stuff first, and then you move everything, and then you do that person's.
Yeah.
Or obviously there's exceptions, and that kind of didn't make any sense to me as far as, so that makes the job as the director really hard, because I need to know which takes off of that part of the day I want, how they're going to match up editing wise to the ones we do now.
Yeah.
And there might be little things that I noticed during shooting, but then forgot when we were actually there on the other side again. And I mean, in this, we can eliminate that entirely by just doing it, obviously lighting has to, but basically you can do it.
Yeah, but if I have everything DMX control, we could just, let's do the reverse. It's just a flip of the button. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah.
And that's also, again, with a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Because it opens up for directors to start fucking around.
Overthinking stuff. I hate when directors overthink stuff. Just make a fucking decision.
Yeah. Well, I had a obviously not going to name any names, but I had a person who told me that he hated directors because they always decide things.
They always decide.
Fucking directors, they decide.
But that's not true. The one who decides is the first AD.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he does all.
He or she decides for you.
Yeah, exactly. Or he brings up the options, saying you can either decide this or this.
Or we can go home now.
Yeah.
But let's not go home. Shoot one more.
Shoot more.
I think that's easier to do in Sweden, to do overtime.
Yeah.
Than in America, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's...
Because in Sweden we can, come on, It's 1 more hour. We gotta go home. We'll grab a beer after. But in America, it's they have great unions.
Yeah, very, very union driven.
Yeah, so I think that's a good thing, actually.
It should be, yeah. I think, I mean, Sweden is kind of, let's not get into it.
Let's not get into it.
But it's in sort of also I haven't been on the highest level, obviously. I haven't worked on, the bigger super productions yet. So
yeah.
I shouldn't speak out of, because I don't have that experience of how.
That's very humble of you.
Or union-based, that is.
Let's not get into a union.
Yeah,
That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So maybe we should start a virtual production union.
Yeah.
How about now? I don't know.
We'll see how it evolves, how the technology
So,
comes up.
I think we're going to start to wrap up, but do you have anything more to add? And
Well, as far as, I mean, super exciting to see, because I mean, with all technologies and all modernization of things, especially in film, it's really cool to see where it can go. And I think we're definitely at a spot right now in virtual productions where nobody really knows where it's going to go.
yeah,
We know where it's heading, but where it's going to end up, it's pretty crazy to think about. This might change the way you make films.
I think
in
so.
the future.
And that's really cool. And I always I still say it. Remember when the DSLR came?
Mhm.
Totally revolutionized. It made it possible for me to make movies.
Yeah.
I could have made it before, but it didn't look that good.
Yeah.
So I think this is a DSLR revolution too. I think a lot of people are going to be able to do really high-end movies in the bedroom.
Right, yeah, and I think that's also important to not lose the story.
Good.
Even though you have all the cool toys and everything, it's still about the story.
Yeah.
It's still, it sounds cheesy and and probably, corny and cheesy, and it's been said before by so many people, but it is still important. Because without it, then because the audience won't even know the difference anyway between what we've done virtual production and not, or in real life. And then if the story sucks, then the story sucks.
Finishing words from my friend.
Yeah, and then you're going to watch my short
Joachim
film and
Svensson.
you go, well, this story sucked. Oh, God.
Yeah, but it was a test.
Yeah, exactly. It's not about the story in this case.
So think about the story in the next project you produce, and download Unreal Engine and take some advice and have fun. See you next time. Thank you guys for watching. If you like the content, be sure to subscribe and smash the button. What kind of button? Notification button. That's good. And I guess that's it. If you like it, leave a comment and see you next video.